Hey, this is Daniel O'Connor with the Bratton O'Connor Law Firm. Today, I'm going to discuss whether giving your kids or another family member a property through a deed and keeping a life estate, if that's a good estate planning tool. We got 3 advantages I'm going to discuss and 3 disadvantages. So let's get started. The 3 advantages. First is cheap. A lot of people like the idea of deeding their kids their home and just keeping a life estate, because really all you have to do is have a deed prepared, which is probably only going to be a few $100s. So that's an advantage. Second advantage is through a life estate, you can reserve the right to continue to live in the home. If it's a home. If it's a farm or a timberland or something like that, if you specifically spell it out, you can reserve the right to the income from the property. Third advantage is you can actually preserve a step up in basis for your remainderman, the person who's going to get the property at your death. What that means is they can get a tax basis based on the value of the property at your death rather than the value at the date that you got it. So that's another advantage, but you can also get that advantage through some other things that we've talked about in some other videos. Now let's talk about the 3 disadvantages. The first one I'll mention, and maybe the most important, is it takes away your control over the property and your control over who gets it after your death. So for example, let's say you deed the property to your son Jim, but you reserve a life estate. But let's say before you die, Jim dies, and his kids are 5 and 10, or maybe one of them has special needs. It would be good if you could change who the beneficiary is. But in Georgia, you cannot. Once you deed property, it's irreversible. So that property, the remainder interest is going to be in Jim's estate. You're not going to have any control over it. And lots of things can happen that you don't expect that way. The second disadvantage is, even while you're alive, you expose the property to the creditors and liens of the person you deeded the property to. So if they get in a divorce or get sued, a judgment or some kind of lien or equitable interest could be placed on the property that you deeded. That's certainly possible. And the third disadvantage is it can make it very onerous if you want to sell the property or refinance. I know people say, well, we're never going to do that. Well, you don't know what's going to happen in your life and when you might need money. And unless the people you deeded the property to agree, you cannot sell property, you can't put it up for a loan, a number of things that you may need to do even if you don't expect it right now. So that would put yourself in a very tough situation. And those 3 disadvantages are the reasons I really caution people against deeding property and keeping a life estate, because frankly, there are much better alternatives in a lot of situations. Sometimes it makes sense to deed property and keep a life estate, but it often is pretty dangerous to do that. And we'll discuss some of those alternatives in other videos and blogs on our website, and I hope you will explore those.